Fertility diet is probably one of the most talked about things in the fertility world. I know I get asked about this all the time. So today's video, we're going to go over some of the fertility boosting foods that you can use to help you get pregnant. Hi ladies, welcome back to Fertility Mom. If you're trying to get pregnant and you have all sorts of questions about what you can do to help boost your fertility or help improve your egg quality, then definitely subscribe below and hit the little bell icon so that you know when I upload you new content every single week. Here I give you evidence-based, science-based suggestions and recommendations to help you get pregnant no matter your age and no matter your history. And if you haven't already stopped by my free fertility masterclass, head down to the description box or the first pinned comment and you can use that link to sign up for the next free live fertility masterclass, where we'll be able to go over a lot of different fertility-based suggestions that you can start implementing that very day. We'll also go over some scientific breakthroughs that have been made in the area of anti-aging for fertility and egg quality. And if you haven't yet been to it, I highly recommend it. Thousands of women have gone through it and say that this was actually the thing that made the difference for them. So if you haven't been there, head down to that link and I'll see you at the live masterclass. Today's video is all about fertility boosting foods that can help you get pregnant. Now, a little bit of a note on diet. Everybody is different. Everybody has different likes, dislikes, allergies, intolerances, things they can eat, things they can't eat, all sorts of things. And that's why you'll never really see me ever say that one diet is better than another, because everybody is different. We kind of have to individualize it and figure out really what is the best thing for your body. It's also really important to remember that everybody has a unique and individual fertility story. So certain things that work for some women may not be the right fit or the right thing for you. Another quick note about fertility diet and fertility foods is that quality really matters a lot when we're talking about the food that we are eating, because there's a lot of funny stuff that can happen with food. Now, does that mean you have to buy 100% organic of 100% of everything you buy? Not necessarily. If you're able to do that, that's great. If that's a little bit more expensive and a little harder for you to do, that's okay too. If it's becoming a little harder for you to buy all organic, then I would concentrate on buying organic of the dirty dozen. And then you can buy conventional, regular produce from the Clean 15 list. Now, in terms of meats and fishes and things like that, you definitely want to concentrate on, whenever possible, pasture-raised chickens and eggs, grass-finished beef and things like that. You also want to have wild-caught fish. And while we're talking about it, we'll just go straight into our first awesome fertility food, which is seafood and fish. Now, studies have shown that couples who consume seafood or fish 2 to 3 times per week have shorter times to conception than those who do not eat seafood. Seafood and fish is also a really amazing source of nutrients, which is really what we want to be concentrating on, making sure that we're getting a large amount of nutrient-dense foods. We want the overwhelming majority of the food that we eat to be in the category that we call nutrient dense. So you might be sitting there and thinking, but wait, Rose, what about all the mercury that there is in fish? And I've been told I can't eat fish because of the mercury levels. Well, there's some truth and also a very large missing piece in that, yes, fish does have a certain amount of mercury, some fish more than others. However, they also have a certain amount of what we call selenium in them. And selenium is a really important part of the story because selenium binds to mercury and produces this whole new compound. And when the selenium binds to mercury, it makes it impossible for the body to absorb that mercury, and it just goes right out of the body. Now, what this means is that the majority of the fish that you're eating has a certain mercury level, but it also has a certain selenium level. And you want to make sure that the selenium level of the fish that you're eating is higher than the mercury level so that it can bind that mercury and get it out of your body. Now, there are some fish that do have more mercury than selenium, but these are not the more readily available fish that you're seeing in your local grocery store. So fish that you would mostly want to avoid eating are those that are higher in mercury. And those are things like pilot whale, some shark, tarpon, marlin, and swordfish. So these are not really your most common fish that you're going to see. Obviously, swordfish is the most common out of those. I would just avoid eating those and focus on all of the other fish and seafood that you can get out there. So those fish are going to be things like salmon, tuna, mahi, shrimp, oysters, all the other seashells, and of course, wild caught is best if you're able to get it. Other than the myth of you can't eat fish because of the mercury content in them, what other food myths are you curious about? What other things have you heard about that you're wondering, hey, is this true or not true? What do I really actually need to avoid? Hit me down in the comments below. I'm curious to see what kinds of things are coming up for you. The second fertility boosting food that we'll talk about today is fruits, nuts, and seeds. And yes, I know I cheated just a little bit here by adding them all into one grouping, but it still works. So let's go with it. Let's talk about fruit for a second. So fruit is an amazing source of vitamins, antioxidants that help to decrease inflammation and keep free radicals in check. And they've kind of got a little bit of a bad rap over the years as low carb diets have gained in popularity. And I have a lot of women that come to me and they have been on a low carb diet or a keto diet for a really long time. They're a little scared or wary of the carbohydrate content in fruits. Now, everybody's body is a little different. Everybody has a carbohydrate sweet spot that their body likes to be in. And no matter where you kind of land on that, fruit is an excellent way to help get that really healthy, nutrient-dense carbohydrate into your daily diet. So these are going to be things like strawberries and blackberries and blueberries and raspberries and watermelon, citrus fruits like oranges and lemons are awesome. Kiwis, pineapples, grapes are my least favorite of the fruits because it's got a very high glycemic index, meaning that it makes your blood glucose go very, very high. And there's not a lot of nutrient content or nutrient value add from grapes. But if you really love grapes, you can still have them. Just make sure that you're eating them with some proteins and fats to kind of keep that glucose a little bit more under control. Nuts and seeds are also really amazing nutrient-dense foods for you. They have vitamins and minerals, lots of omega-3s. They have protein and fat in them. And again, something I talk about all the time, protein and fat are superfoods for you. You can consider them fertility super macros. So you really don't want to be limiting yourself on protein and fat. Nuts and seeds are an awesome way to get them into your diet in a nice and tasty way. Now here's why I added fruits, nuts, and seeds under one food title. And it's because they're really actually great in combination. So I talk a lot about having a good balance of your glucose, no matter whether you have a diagnosis of insulin resistance or blood glucose control issues or not. You're going to want to have a nice good balance to your meal so that you're never spiking your glucose out of range, because that can cause some inflammatory issues. So having some fruit with some nuts and seeds helps to really balance it out, because you're having your carb, but you're also having some good fat and protein. Now, the third awesome fertility boosting food that can help you to get pregnant are leafy greens. And these are things like spinach and lettuces and collard greens and beet greens and Brussels sprouts. All of these types of greens have something called folate in them. Now, there are many different forms of folate because folate as a word is kind of an umbrella term that involves many different forms of folate. But the food folate that comes from food, is very readily and easily absorbed by your body and put right into your methylation cycle. Now, methylation itself is really important for fertility and health overall, but in terms of fertility, it's involved in pretty much every single process that's needed to create a baby. So you want to make sure that your methylation cycle, your methylation process, is really well supported, and having a good amount of folate in the form of food is actually really helpful in making sure that your methylation cycle is working nicely. Now, of course, there are so many different things that you can do with your fertility diet, but again, it's really all individual as to what you need and what your history is as well. So some people with certain medical histories or certain fertility histories really need to have a certain type of diet that helps them to achieve what they really want to inside their body, whether we're trying to control blood glucose or decrease inflammation or get your gut and autoimmunity under control. There's many different things that we can do, and we can use the diet to kind of manipulate the controls on that. So it's going to be different for everybody, but these are just some general things that you can start to include in a highly nutrient dense diet. Okay, ladies, that's all for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Make sure you leave a comment letting me know what else you would like to see on the channel, and keep your eyes out for special things coming from me this Black Friday. Talk to you soon. Bye.